All right. Hope everybody's having a great day, and thank you guys for joining us on today's webinar. We are back. I'm Ken Miguel. Here with me is Mr. Mike Lugo. Mike, how are you doing?
Doing great. How's everybody doing out there?
Hope everybody's fine and healthy. So we're doing another webinar on another hot item. It's going to be the BC2036PTC. This is the portable body temperature scanner camera. Pretty much we're going to show you guys what the product is for, what's included when you buy it, how it works, how to set it up, and we're going to be answering any questions that you guys may have. There is a questions box on your screen as we go through the webinar. We're going to stop and answer questions, so feel free to fire away, and let's go ahead and get started.
Let's do it.
All right. Okay, so temperature screenings, especially after this COVID stuff, started happening here, in the whole world, temperature screenings are happening in most places where you have to enter. That's a public place, and I'm sure you guys have seen this. There'll be a group of people at the entrance with forehead thermometers that will scan you, check your temperature. Some do it while you're in a car or while you're standing in front of the person. However, so this method would require humans to test other humans, and also it would require the use of PPEs. So the group, humans testing would need to wear a mask, gloves, the whole 9 yards, and they usually can test one person at a time. In some cases, or companies, businesses, they even hire a third party company that will conduct the screenings. So going back to this product, what is the purpose of this device? So the BC2036PTC automates the body temperature screening process and is capable of scanning multiple objects. So we mentioned, needing groups of humans to test other humans. This will automate that process, so it saves time. You don't have to do it one person at a time, and it saves labor cost. So you don't have to have employees do it or hire another company to do it for you. In addition, one of the main draws of this particular product is that it's portable. It looks like it's a gun with a trigger. So you can easily set it down put it on a tripod, let it scan for, let's say, 1 day, and move on, pack it up, go to the next place. It's very portable, and it's very powerful. Let's go over the markets that it's designed for. So really any scenario where temperature screening will be required, airports, TSA lines, once those flights starts filling up again, you're gonna see screens for temperature, I'm sure. Hospitals, this is already happening. Everybody's getting screened at the entrance. Clinics, same thing. Some grocery stores and markets, but I'm sure this is something that they would want to be interested in as far as being ready. Offices, schools, when they open back up, measuring the students' temperature, it's going to be a priority. Restaurants, churches, arenas, nothing's open right now, but I'm sure when everything opens back up, there's going to be extra precaution to be taken. So there's a lot of possibilities, for security dealers. This is, if I own a security company, I can really take this stuff and create a new market and customer base for myself, especially with the times right now. All right, let's look at the camera first. Okay. Let's look at the specs. This is essentially it's an analog camera, right, Mike?
Analog camera. Yep.
And the gun. We have a question here. Can it work for how long? And the battery.
Yeah, so it's got a 4-hour battery. Takes about same amount of time to charge, but you can also set the settings on it, like the screen, and get a longer battery life out of it. So, you know, you can lower the resolution, not the resolution, I'm sorry, lower the brightness a little bit just to get a little more time out of it. But it does come with a adapter, so you can just plug that into the wall and use it all day if you want. Yeah.
Right. So it is designed for around the clock testing.
Yep.
It's very accurate. How far distance would ideally they have to be?
So a minimum, it's going to be a meter. But in terms of distance, length, we're looking at about 15 feet. And you can adjust it on the camera of how far you're going to be measuring people. Yeah, it's one of the settings that's pretty cool.
So if it has to work all day, it has to be plugged in?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, for sure. If you're going to use it all day, you want to plug it in.
Okay, and this is designed for multiple targets, right?
Yes, yeah.
Is there a number?
So you can set up to 3 specific targets, 3 areas, I should say, within your field of view. So if you have, you know, if it's a large area and something's further back, and you want to set that area that's maybe, you know, 15 feet away, and another area that's 5 feet away, you're able to do that. You have 3 different levels of reading.
Yeah. The scene does need calibration. We're gonna go over what's included, but the black body is going to be used for calibration.
Yes.
And it comes with the system. All right, let's look at the product itself up close. The screen, 2.5 by 3 inch screen. You got your power button right there. Save, cancel button. I mean, it's a pretty simplistic looking device.
Very straightforward, yeah.
Super easy to use. You got a handle. You got a grip straps. Can you use this by holding it up?
You can. That's what the straps for. It's real easy to use. Point, and you see on your screen immediately the whole field of temperature going on.
Okay. So this is a side view. You'll see your trigger there. It's about 10 inches high. You'll see the removable quick release attachment. That is what snaps into the tripod if you want to set it in place. For this webinar, we have it set on a tripod, and on the side you got some outputs there.
Yeah, and the tripod is good for, you know, when you're doing the calibration. It's not a necessity, but yeah, you want to keep it level, make sure everything's nice and steady. Yeah.
Okay, so we got mini USB, my SD card slot.
Yep.
Audio video. So that's your audio video output.
Yeah, and it's one cable that splits into 2. You'll see in a while how we have it actually on our monitor here.
Yeah, we just got a question right now. Do you offer any outputs for the readings except for the screen? And the answer is yes through this video output. And there's your power button. Here is the other side. I just want to show this. The bottom is the battery door. You see a trigger again right there. This is the front. So right at the center is the thermal camera.
Yep.
It does have a cap to protect it. Above that would be your IR LEDs. So the lens on the center is actually the cover camera lens.
Yep.
And here's the top view.
It's a very sturdy product. It's nice and solid. Feels good in your hand. It's a very sturdy product.
Okay, so what comes included? One of the main things is the black body. Now, I'm sure you guys joined the webinar because you're interested in looking at thermal solutions. If any body, any company tells you that the product will work without a black body, that's not correct.
Yeah.
These solutions, the customer is paying for the accuracy.
Yeah.
And for what it's built for, that's important, right? So, well, can you explain to us what a black body is?
So the black body basically guarantee the temperature that you want. So if somebody walks in, how do you know if they haven't been running around all day? Their temperature might be off slightly. The black body is going to keep you knowing what that temperature should be for a person. Right? So it's going to keep it accurate. Someone comes in with a higher temperature, you're going to know that's an official higher temperature that they should have, because the black body is always going to keep the temperature that you need to read.
But do you constantly use it, or use it only when you're calibrating, or how does it
So
work?
the beauty of this particular item is that it has an automatic calibration. So as long as the black body is in the picture, and you can set the time that, so to do it like every 30 seconds, every 60 seconds, you can set that time. As long as it's in the frame of the picture, it'll always refer to that black body, and you'll know you'll always get a accurate reading. So that's the.
Do you set a range? Do you set a range for?
You do. You set a range, and you can set the range of how far the black body is. So if it's 6 feet, you set that inside the camera, and that way you know that it's an accurate reading.
Okay, so if you order this part, you do not need to order the black body separate. It's going to be a complete set. It's going to be this one right here on the picture. We said it's portable, so it does come with a nice rugged case for your camera, power supply, black body, everything. Can temperatures be taken from individuals in a vehicle?
So it will get the temperature of the individuals in the vehicle, but you have a lot of other factors that come into play. The windows, the vehicle itself. You know, everything has they have emissions that come off of every device, and you can refer to these emissions online. It's universal. Even the black body has emissions, so you can refer to that. If you want to get an accurate reading of the vehicle, then of course you would set the emissions of whatever a metal on a vehicle would be, and then you can get accurate readings from a vehicle. So there's a that lets you set what the emissivity is on the object you're trying to get temperatures from. In this case, our black box does have one, and you'll see, I'll show you guys when we go live with the actual camera. I'll show you how that works.
Can you dual stream into a camera system?
So no, because well, actually you can. You do need adapters if you want to go, obviously.
Plug it to a DVR?
Yeah, we have BNC, so you would need a BNC to RCA adapter to plug it in, and it will work, yeah, for sure.
Okay, so this is the rest of the accessories. It comes with a battery pack, like Mike said, 4-hour battery life. For round-the-clock screening, it comes with a power supply. It already comes with the SD card. So yeah, I'm seeing questions here about the alarm. So how does the user get notified when there's abnormal reading? It comes with a speaker.
Comes with the speaker. Also, the camera itself will also set an alarm. You have the choice of doing either one, but you set a temperature, whatever the guidelines are. If it exceeds that temperature, or you set a low temperature, if it goes below that threshold, it's going to give you an audible sound.
Okay. So as far as the questions on the image, well, we're going to show the camera itself. We're gonna stream it here, so you'll see what the thermal and color cameras look like. And yes, there is a picture-in-picture mode where you can see both color and thermal.
Yeah, and you can also blend those two. It can get a little tricky to see that, the blend of the real light and then the thermal light, but you can do that, or you could put it on the side and see it separate. So that's another cool option it has.
All right. Okay, Mike, are ready to go do operation?
Yeah, let's show everybody how this thing works.
All right.
All right, so you guys can see that.
All right, can somebody confirm that you guys see this thermal view?
Okay, so I'm gonna go right into the menus here and show you guys how to set this.
All right,
up.
thank you very much.
So the first box we see here, first option, is a little T and some color, is gonna let you set how you want to take temperatures. So I got a little.
The black body is right. Is that right there? Right?
Yeah, we're looking at the black body. You can see the red circle there. So you have a crosshair. You see that first button there. That's gonna let you zoom in on a certain point. Of course, next to that is a line. So that's going to be if anybody crosses that line, it's going to read their temperature. And then the third one is a box. So that's just an area that it's going to select. Anybody goes into that area. That's what's going to be temperature reading. This fourth one is a trash can. So if you can see the two temperatures going on the left, right? They're changing some numbers.
Oh,
that is my reading.
Oh, sorry, Mike. So yeah. you're going over the menus on the bottom there, right?
Yeah, and I'll go. The last one's the main menu.
Oh, okay.
But this is how you get into the particular one. So as you can see, I erased all my temperature reading. So I want to bring it back.
Well, what are you seeing on the screen? The numbers and icons that we're seeing on the screen.
Yeah. So let me bring that temperature back up so you can see how I get to read it. Just go like that. So now my crosshair came back. Now I'm reading temperatures. So
okay.
You can see the top, that the E is the emissions that the black box is giving off. And you can see typically they're set to 1. That's a typical black box emissions that it gives off. That's going to give you an accurate reading. Like I said, if you wanted to do a car or there was another object, you'd want to find out what its emissions are and then change that number to correspond with whatever it is you're reading.
Okay.
So the number below that is going to be the temperature that it's reading. I can move this around a little bit.
Okay. Fahrenheit and Celsius?
There's Fahrenheit and Celsius. So right now I have it set, of course, to Fahrenheit. That's what we use here.
What does P1 mean?
So P1 is my, so you can, like I said, you can have 3 different areas to detect.
Oh, I see.
So P1 would be one area that I'm setting right now.
Okay, and I see on the bottom left, you see date, time,
date, timestamp.
You can set that manually, right?
You can set that manually. On the right, you see my little temperature gauge. Here's another cool thing.
What is that 1%?
So 1% means that 1% of my card is being used right now.
Oh, the storage.
The storage, yeah. And I'll show you a bunch of videos that I just randomly recorded.
Is it recording videos?
So it does videos and it does still images.
Does it record videos constantly?
You can set it to, so you could set the type of video you want to record. Do you want to do a constant video? Do you want to do a triggered video? You know, when temperatures are too high or too low? Do you want a video that links to certain temperatures? It's a certain temperature, it's going to start recording with audio. So it does a bunch of different cool things. On the right, you see my temperature, I guess scale. Yeah. You can adjust that. It has many different colors. You don't have to keep the basic blue through red. It's got 11 different colors that you can go through. I'll go through that in a bit.
The date and time, if it's showing too low, it's most likely our streaming software, but
yeah, maybe cut off.
Yeah, it might be the resolution, but you'll see it nice and clear. Is there a watermark option there?
There is not a watermark option.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming the upper right corner is the battery.
Upper right corner is the battery.
Yes. Okay.
So here we have. So like I said, here's where you set the.
How did you get to that menu?
So this is the. I'm sorry. Good question. That was the A. There's an A button. It has just an A on it, and this is going to bring up that menu to allow you to adjust certain things like distance. So there's an option for full screen high temperature. So as you can see here, my temperature full is 100. So if I get a high temperature, the whole screen is going to go red. Not only does it give me an audible, but it also gives me a visual alarm telling me that, hey, we've got a high temperature here. Let's look into it.
So Mike, if one of our viewers, they just bought this unit and they set it up, this is going to be the first thing that they need to do? Yeah.
So here's the beauty of this is right out of the box, it's ready to go. If you default this camera out of the box, you set it to point it at your black box, and it's ready to go within, like I said, I'll get to it right now, but there's a time you can set that it automatically goes and checks for those those black boxes to see if they're there to calibrate.
All right.
So
So A button.
A button. So this is the menu button that's in the middle. It's going to bring up this menu here. We went through the first one. The second one here is to record. You can see my record jumped on and the little red dot is telling me I'm recording. If I want to stop that, I just hit that again. You can see it went away, brought me back to my menu. The third one is for snapshots. And so the playback, go in here.
Can you do snapshot intervals?
You can do snapshot intervals. So
what's the range?
You could set anywhere from 1 all the way up to 100. I think you can even do a constant. So it'll just continue to take JPEGs over and over and over, making pretty much a video. Here are my videos. Like I said, I made a bunch of different random videos.
So this is playback?
This is playback. There's a picture-in-picture view.
Oh, okay.
What else I got here? I got the different colors. This is a different color scheme to show you the heat on it. Very easy to use to do playbacks.
All right.
And lastly, the last menu here is the main menu. So we've got a bunch of different stuff here to go over. So by default, it's going to start off on general. I'm going to go in there and see what we got going on. So general. Here's what I was talking about, the auto calibration intervals. Right now it's set for 60 seconds. So every 60 seconds, it's going to look for that black box and try to calibrate. That's why you do pretty much need the black box with this. That's why we give it to you. So to help you do this.
You have a question here, Mike?
Yeah.
Do you need to calibrate this every 6 months or every year or every?
So there are a few different things that you do have to calibrate every 6 months, just to keep it up to date. But for the most part, it's ready to go out of the box.
What are those? Do you know?
So
give us an
there's the thermal sensor on it, needs to be calibrated, and the infrared sensor.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a shortcut. You see there's a shortcut here. So there's a trigger. We went through it. There's a trigger on the camera. You can set that trigger to different things. Of course, there's a direction pad, and this is what you're doing when you do the direction pad. Function, which is the bottom, which will be my trigger. Actual trigger. Let's go down there. I'll show you what it can be. So you can set it to record. You push that button, it starts to record automatically. To capture, to zoom in, and to zoom out. And that's a digital zoom. So there's some things you can put the trigger. I have it set to record. If I need to record something, I just hit that trigger. Power save mode. So power save mode allows you to set the LCD brightness. So if you want to get more time out of it, lower that brightness a little bit. You also have a timer that will turn the camera off if it's left alone for X amount of time.
So does it measure distance in meters or inches?
It does meters.
Meters, but temperature.
It's Fahrenheit or Celsius.
And Fahrenheit.
Yeah. You can see here I have external video output. I have that on because that's what we're using right now to show this on the webinar. Of course, temperature unit.
Okay, that's where you set the.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
There's Fahrenheit and Celsius, and then of course distances in meters. And if I wanted to do the audio externally to the speakers, I would turn that on the bottom. So let's go next. Let's go to file. This is file management.
File. Okay.
Yeah. So see, there's a couple of dates there, and then there's an export folder. These are just basically file management. How I want to arrange these files. I set the export file just because those are pictures I might want to take out later on, and I want to know where they're at. Not going by dates. It's just file management.
So the video output, Mike, is analog, right? With a RCA.
Yes.
RCA output.
It's RCA output.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And the video, the audio is a 3.5.
So the way it comes out of the camera is a 3.5 millimeter plug, and that splits into two. A 3.5 millimeter for the audio, and then RCA for the video.
Okay.
That's how it breaks out. So measuring. So the camera will detect from 68 degrees to 122 degrees Fahrenheit. That's its range. Magnification is standard. You want to keep that. Environment temperature, which is basically just the temperature outside. You can adjust that for different situations. It's 100 degrees outside, something like that. For the most part, you don't have to mess with any of this. It'll automatically set it. Reference type, this is a pretty important to go over. So there's a couple ways you can use the camera. You can use it as a reference temperature. So instead of seeing the actual temperature being read, it's going to show you the reference temperature. And you're going to get an alarm based on either above or below that temperature. I have it off because I want to know the actual temperature of whatever it is I'm reading. Right? I don't want to know the reference temperature. So you would leave that off. But if you wanted to just see the reference temperature and know if anything's above it or below it, this is where you would set that. Like I said, a lot of these settings you're probably not going to use. Everything out of the box is ready to go, but it's good for you guys to know that it has these options. Adjustments. So adjustments, again, just like the other pop-up, you can set the emissivity, pronounce that right?
Emissivity?
Yeah.
I can't pronounce it.
Of the object. One is usually a black box. And then, you know, certain temperatures, you don't want to mess with any of this. Here's where you set the distance as well. It's important to know where the distance is, how far it is, so you get an accurate reading. Humidity, the camera's going to auto detect it. T-reflect is the reflection temperature that you get off of a certain object, and you can adjust that as well. You don't need, we're not using, like, for instance, you said the car, situation like that, you would set it here. So we don't really need to mess with that unless we actually know what those numbers are.
Now the question, Mike, is the device weatherproof, waterproof?
So it is, let me give you the rating on it. It's IP54 is the rating of the camera. So off the top of my head, I don't know exactly what IP54 specifications are, but it is IP54 rated.
Are we going to show the camera in use while taking a temperature of a person? Yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah, and then of course there's body temperature correction. And like I said, if that's someone's, you know, running around, ran a mile and you know, stuff like that. So let's go into these graphic options. This is pretty simple. We got an auto enhance mode. We can leave that off. We don't want to get any false readings of any kind. So we just want to keep the camera reading its temperatures and doing what it needs to do. IR transparency, we're not using IR, we're using the temperature thermal reading of it. And this is pretty important here. So alarm settings. This is how I want the camera to read temperatures. So typically 98.6 is a temperature that everyone has that is not 6. So let's put that up a little bit. We want this thing going off right at what we need. And you could set this to whatever the specifications are that you're looking for. So let's go back here. Alarm link. Alarm link is going to link recordings to your alarm temperature. So someone hits 100 degrees, automatically the alarm link is going to start recording and doing audio and video and temperature. And you can set intervals to it. And of course, you can set the record time once you trigger that alarm.
As far as the body temperature correction, is it just a simple on and off, or can the user set parameters?
For the auto enhance mode, that's just going to do it on. So like I said, so by default it's off. You want to leave it off. There's not a situation where you need to auto enhance anything. Different situations, you know, maybe you might be inside of a cave or who knows. But situations like that, you would want to change. For the most part, you just want to leave that stuff as is. Okay, so we got camera options, video capture. Like I said, the link capture means that when an alarm gets set, it's going to record. Picture notes, you can add notes to the pictures, things like body temperature, anything you see on the screen, it's going to come on the picture if you set this to whatever you want it to do. And this is just saving options, you know, consecutive numbers by 1, how you want to save those pictures, consecutive intervals, 0.5 seconds, directory settings. I went over that in the actual previous file menu. Let's go down to system. So
system settings, all right.
So not much here, but this is where you would want to do a default, set your time, your date. This of course has the model number, information of the camera, stuff like that. You can set the language here. This is going to show you your card, what you got left on it, if you want to format it or if you want to remove it. You never want to pull just the card out. You want to, when the camera's on, you want to actually go through the right steps. And so that's basically it, going through the menus. Let's get you guys a reading. So
They're standing in front of the camera.
yeah,
Okay, so let's do a single person reading, and then we'll do a multi-person reading.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna stand.
so you can see, takes the temperature pretty good. Get right on. So he's moving around. I gotta twist him around a little bit. But every time it hits him, you can see that it hits that 98, 97 right there. So if someone's moving around, they cross that crosshair, I'm gonna get their temperature pretty easily. You can see the different temperatures throughout the body.
Right out behind boxes.
Yeah, so behind boxes, he's also behind that black box. And you notice it gets the same temperature on him that it comes out of that black box. So the black box is gonna be a accurate reading of someone's actual temperature. And of course, like I said, you can do multiple points of reading. And there we go. So yeah, you set the distances, and you maybe want to set a path someone wants to walk or needs to walk through to get a more accurate reading. That's what you would do. A lot of it's going to be on the job site, finding out what kind of obstacles you have to overcome, air conditioning, things like that. That's so why the black box is so important, because you'll always get that reading that you need no matter what's going on in the picture or in the frame. Yeah. So another thing you can do, I want to show you guys, is this. So I can change the actual color scheme of my reading. There's 11 different reading. And there's also a focus. Let me show you guys here. Focus on the camera. You can see that getting real blurry. I can bring it much more into view. And if I want to see what's going on, I can hit this button here and see the actual live picture. Go back and I can get a picture-in-picture view. So I can see what's going on. Maybe sometimes it's hard to see what's going on in the picture when you just see a bunch of thermal images walking by. That's perfect. You can see Ken moving back and forth over the crosshair. You can see the temperatures change immediately from what his is and what it should be. So now we're going to have second person walk through. So right now I only have 1 point set. I wanted to set that second point here. So now I got my second point. I have to move this over. You see the crosshair moving to the side. So now you see two crosshairs. It could take a while to move the crosshair sometimes, but so now I got a reading there. A little bit more. So yeah, now I got two readings. You can see the two crosshairs reading two different temperatures. You see the numbers off to the left giving me the temperature of the person. Both of them, both of my points of interest. Yeah, very simple, very straightforward, very easy to use. Point, shoot, and you've got your images. All right. Let's go back to my, yeah.
Anything else on the menu?
Yeah, so that's basically the whole camera. You see how easy it is to use, very user-friendly. I set this up as if it was out of the box, and I put it on my tripod, aimed it at my black box, and that's it. It's all I had to do. Reading temperatures.
Does it do auto scanning?
Auto scanning in terms of like looking for the black box, or scanning for like individuals. It does do the auto scanning for the black box. You can set the intervals, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, a minute, and it'll look for that. It'll look for that time, that temperature, to calibrate.
Okay, I think what you meant, were you manually doing the scans, or can you leave the camera and have it do?
You can leave the camera and just walk away from it and let it do its alarms. If it triggers an alarm, then you can go to the camera and see what's going on. So yeah, definitely you can just leave it, not worry about it, and just sit next to it, not have to watch it the whole time. or if you have it on the screen like we do right now, you can watch it like that. But yeah, definitely it'll do auto scan.
So in a real application scenario, does the black body always have to be in the background, and
Yes.
is there a distance that they need to?
Yeah. So like I said,
is there a limit to the distance between the camera and the black box?
So 50 feet would be the limit, probably. You want to keep it within there. You do want to keep the black box in the frame, because you can see in the picture here, you can see the black box going off. You can see the bright red. So I know that's my frame of reference. I know I can go there and just know that that temperature is going to be right if you have the black box. If not, you're pretty much guessing. You know, you're guessing for a
stand right there.
So yeah, you can see.
And David is 6 feet out. He's he's.
If I go up a little bit, read his temperature,
close.
and you see it goes up. And if I put it back down to where it was.
The video output is there's no HDMI. It's an RCA.
RCA, yeah.
What if someone walks in with a cup of coffee?
It's gonna read that. It's gonna read that coffee. It's not so. As you can see, I just read he's wearing a mask, and then I put it on his forehead, and you can see the temperature difference as soon as I moved it. You know, the mask had a good 10 degrees, so you can see that he has a coffee in his hand, and it's reading his temperature.
That's a Yeti, so it's
yeah. But tilt it a little bit forward towards the camera. You can see the color change and see that the rim of that is very hot, because 100 degrees is white, and it's white. So you can tell that that coffee is very hot.
So can that set off the alarm?
It can set off the alarm. Definitely set off the alarm.
All right, thank you, David. The black body, can it be installed outdoors, sun, rain, exposed to the elements?
So you want to keep it in a controlled environment as much as possible. I wouldn't put it outside in a parking lot. Recommendations are to have it in some sort of tent. It doesn't matter if the tent, if it's hot outside, 100 degrees, that's fine. But you want to keep it in a tent, in a controlled environment is the most accurate you're going to get with it.
Does the thermal image, time and date stamp, and the PIP show on the external monitor? Yes.
Yes.
So the way we're streaming this is via the external monitor, and you're seeing the external monitor right now.
Yeah, you guys might not see it on the bottom because it might cut off because of the program I'm using, but you do see it on the external monitor for sure. Yeah.
Is there a mask on analytic?
No, there's not.
No,
there's not. Our other.
So this device is not designed for that.
Yes, exactly.
Those would be the IP-based units. That
yeah, the access control camera we have does do that.
The big IP.
The big IP. Yep. Yeah, this one's more for just thermal temperature readings.
Does the trigger on the handheld camera take a snapshot of the person with the temperature stamp?
So you can set that trigger to any shortcut you want. If you want it to be snapshots, if you want it to be recording, if you want it to be, color change, you can set that trigger to almost anything you want. Yeah. So awesome. It's a preference.
Okay, so that's pretty much the scheduled webinar. So okay. I'll show you guys how it works, what's included. Keep in mind, when you guys buy this, it includes the camera, the black body, the case, the cables, the batteries, everything is included. We'll leave it open for question. Please go over how the black body works.
So the black body is very simple. You just plug it in, and there's a temperature in the back that gives you, whatever it is you're trying to calibrate with. By default, 98.6 is what the black body is out of the box. My recommendation is to leave it at that because that's a human temperature, what it should be, and you want to keep it at that. I mean, if you're trying to detect something else, then you can adjust that to whatever it is that you're trying to read.
Regarding questions on pricing, we'll send you guys. We'll contact you guys for pricing. Availability wise, currently there'll be a 3-week lead time. If you order today, of course, this is a new product. We're bringing these in as we go, and we'll have better availability. But yes, feel free to place your order, and we'll get this shipped out ASAP. Is it Bolide branded? Yes. Okay, so here's our information: website, phone number, our email addresses. This webinar is going to be on YouTube. It's recorded, so feel free to. We'll send you guys the link, and feel free to rewatch it or forward it to somebody that you think will benefit from this information. It's a very, very good solution, especially for these times. This market is booming, and you want to have these solutions available for your customers.
So I see a question: does the height of the black body need to be adjusted based on the height of the visitor? So as long as it's in the field of view, you're good. You can see earlier when they were standing in front of it, I had it off to the side, and you can see the red circle. As long as it's in the field of view. Yeah.
Does the tablet unit need a black body unit as well? Oh, you're talking about the access control camera. That one doesn't, because
that one doesn't, because it's an infrared temperature reader. It's a little different. It reads you from your skin, which means that's why you have to get kind of close to the camera.
Yeah.
It does not need a black box.
So that camera is designed for people to stop and stand in front of it and wait for it to let them in the door and unlock it via the access control system. This device is designed to screen multiple targets. People in line that are moving, they don't need to stop, but they have to be screened for abnormal body temperature. Different product for a different application. Okay, you already placed an order. Thank you very much. She'll be happy with this product. Okay, before we wrap up, I want to just thank everybody again for joining us. We're going to answer probably one more question, but thank you very much for joining us, and see you guys on the next webinar. All right, thank you very much. As far as the output, so there is no HDMI. It's an RCA output to the monitor. All right, I think that wraps up the question. Prices, we can get that over to you. All right, thank you for joining us today. All right, so we'll close it now. Thanks, guys, and stay safe and healthy out there.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a good one.